Welcome, everybody, to this week's Real Talk Food Safety with Jill, Tia, and our very special guest,
Ooh, yeah.
Dr. Michael Wood.
Hey,
We are
hey,
super excited to have Mike here with us today. And we're talking about a very important topic, something that comes up often when we're talking to different clients or when we're having group sessions or when we're just talking to people on LinkedIn or at conferences. This is something that comes up often. How do I really transition from being that technical expert and talking with other technical people to now being in leadership and having conversations with people that might not be in the same technical space? How do I do that? And Mike is our expert today. So we
So,
are excited
yeah,
about
the expert today, yeah, I'll be the
and
expert today.
every day.
it. And
That's why we're so
every
glad to have you here because people are tuning in and they're going to be like, I'm walking away with all the secrets and magic that Mike knows.
I'll give
Yes.
it to
No
you.
pressure.
I'll share it today. I'll share it today. And then if you see me on the street, if you see me at a conference, hey, just you know, pull me to the side. I'll share.
Mhm.
I'll
Yes.
share.
And this is recorded. So we have it out on our blog, on our website. It's linked to our YouTube. So it will forever live on.
So wait a minute. So I can send this to my parents now. They can see it, right?
Yes, absolutely. We'll send you a
I'll send
link
it,
so you can share it.
I'll send it to mom and dad. Yeah, they'll love it.
That's awesome. Well, we want to know who's listening to us today. So put in the comments, say hello. We like to talk a little bit about weather. We did a little bit before we jumped on, but we want to know, like, what does it look and feel like where you are? Because it is rainy here in Baltimore. Last week, I had my daughter in shorts. Today, we're in coats. So that's just what kind of world we're living in. I don't know about in Minnesota.
Oh, so we've had my kids play spring baseball.
Yeah.
And we've been thrilled that we had baseball games outside this week. So it's 40 degrees and we're sitting at the field and I've got my heated vest on. I'm wrapped in blankets, winter hat, all of it. So I'm really looking forward to when spring comes around so that I can actually just sit there. Like
Yes.
the whole thing about baseball, right, is soaking up the sun and sitting
Right?
in like tank top and shorts.
Wow.
It's coming. I know it's coming.
So Jill, can I share as well? So I have a child who plays baseball as well, high school baseball.
Ah.
So same thing here in Cleveland.
Oh,
42 degrees, sunny.
Mm.
I was wrapped up in layers. My wife was wrapped up in layers. The kids won though, so that was
Oh,
wonderful.
okay.
That was wonderful. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. And it seems like Wendy, she's also in 45-degree weather in Chicago. Hi, Wendy. Claire is joining us. And oh, it's rainy. It's rainy in Oklahoma City, just like here. So, I feel you, Claire. And then Nikita, sunny but cool in New York City, which I was talking to Nikita yesterday, and I miss New York. So I would be okay with it being sunny and cool in New York City.
isn't it always cool in New York City?
Uh,
No, I mean like cool.
oh, it's always cool. I had to catch up on the tone,
That was
right?
a bad joke. It's always cool in New York City.
I would agree with that. Hi, Larry. Thanks for joining us today. Ooh, it's 70 degrees in
Ooh,
Seattle. Just rubbing it in.
Seattle for the win on warm weather.
Yes, but he has to deal with the pollen.
See, yin yang. There's always good and there's always the other side.
Right, exactly. So keep putting in the comments where you're listening from. We love to see you and say hello to you. And then also add in the comment your perspective, your questions to Mike in the conversation, because that's what we love to do here on Real Talk. We love to talk and discuss and hear your perspective. And so we can't see you, but we can see your comments. So please add to the comments. And if this is your first time joining us today, I'm Tia. This is Jill, and we lead Catalyst in Real Talk every Wednesday at noon. And what we do is that we really help organizations improve their food safety outcomes, and we focus on empowering technical leaders like yourself to really transition from technical to leadership. So this topic today completely fits into what we do. every single day and our passion really for leadership development for technical leaders.
Yeah. And I think was it 2 or 3 shows ago, we did a program or we did a LinkedIn Live on why leadership development has to be specific, practical, and relatable.
Yes.
And that's what we do. Because if you go sit in on, I'm going to pick on the generic HR leadership development, they are good, right? Same principles. But it doesn't always like hit home with us because our roles are so highly influential and different because we're merging all of the technical and the leadership. So for us to be the business partners we need to be, we need a little bit different leadership development approach. So
we do.
That's what we do here.
Yes.
And it's coaching based. Did I mention it's coaching based? That means you get to be the one who's sourcing from within and your well-being. Because when we're good, then we can spread the goodness around us.
Yep. And that's us. And now we're here to talk all about Mike and all about transitioning from technical to leadership. So welcome, Dr. Michael Wood. Thanks for joining us today, being on our show.
Let me say thank you to both of you for the invitation. I have watched from the beginning. So I'm very happy to be on the show. Very happy.
Oh, we are happy to have you. Yes.
It is our pleasure to have you with us and to share you with our audience.
Absolutely. And I will tell our audience, we have been trying to get you on the show for months. So we are happy that you're here.
Okay.
You're just sought after. So we get it. We'll book you earlier next time.
Right.
Okay. It gets busy. Hey, it gets busy.
And I did say that I was going to share all the amazing things about Mike. And so these are just a few. I'm just going to pepper them in throughout the conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, we know, Mike, that we've had the pleasure of knowing you and meeting you, but there may be people in our audience who this might be their first time that they're like, they get to be connected with you. So would you start off and even tell us, how did you find food safety? And tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are now.
Sure, no problem. Let me start from the beginning. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Went to one of the best high schools, probably the best high school in the state, Renaissance High School. After that, University of Florida, bachelor's degree in microbiology, master's degree food science, PhD in food science, specializing in food microbiology. So I knew my senior year of college that this is the route that I wanted to go. Took a food microbiology course as an elective, and just fell in love with the whole industry. It was relatable to me. We eat food every day, right? So putting something that I had knowledge with a practical application, it intrigued me. It's something that I wanted to do. So after graduation, worked in laboratories. First big gig, worked at Del Monte in Dallas. I was a new product development manager, and that's a bit of a misnomer because I did everything. I was the product development manager, microbiologist, chemist. I did everything there. Let me give a shout out to Ross McKinney, who was my first boss, who gave me an opportunity. Thank you so much, Ross. I appreciate it. After that, went to Nestle. I was a corporate microbiologist at Nestle. Did that for 11 years, loved it, learned how to really apply microbiology from the theoretical into the practical. Was in ice cream facilities, manufactured food facilities, everything. So really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Now I am with Kroger, and I am no longer in a technical position. I'm in a leadership position. I am the food safety lead for the Fresh Kitchen program. And what the Fresh Kitchen program is, it's the cut fruits and cut vegetables that you see in the produce section. That is what I lead It is done kind of 50-50. Some of it is in-store cutting and some of it is done by third-party manufacturers. And I lead a team of 3 talented individuals. Let me give a shout out to those individuals, Dan, Nancy, and Anessa. You guys are awesome. So that's my team. Love my team. I really enjoy leading. It's different. I thought I was on a path to just being a technical guy in the back. What do you need? I'll give it to you, and then that's it. But my career has taken a slightly different path.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the reason why you're on the show today is because you have this rich background of being a technical expert. Like when I think about microbiologists and the fact that you have a PhD in it, like that to me screams technical expert, right? Like you're going to dive deep into technical knowledge. And now you've transitioned into leadership, and really along the way you've been in leadership, leading organizations, helping them figure out like what should they do next, right? And now having this team, right, that you love leading, and you saying that it's different. Like I really want to know like what different skills do you use, or why is it different when you think about the roles you did before and the one today?
So I've always had the skills, and we have the skills, right? We just use them in different ways. For me, not former, but I'm still an athlete. So it was, being a point guard on the basketball team, right? Leadership skills are there, and leadership skills are being developed there. Being a center fielder in baseball, leadership skills are developed there. Being a father, I am the father of 4 wonderful sons. Jordan, Kendall, Logan, and Marshall. So that is really, and you talked to Theodore about it, being a first-time dad. This is where it's where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah.
You have to parent those children. You have to parent them right. So a lot of my leadership stuff, while I don't think maybe no formal leadership training, everything formal for me has been technical. But again, I picked up those skills being a dad, being a brother, being a son, being, in my everyday life. So for me, that's where those leadership skills came from. Understanding really how to treat people, knowing that you can't treat everybody. You can't get the same thing out of everybody the same way. Some people you yell and scream, and that works for them. Some people you have to, hey, put your hand on their back and rub their back, and hey, this is the way that it needs to be done. But for me, those leadership skills came from really from everything else. And then in the work setting, I've always had projects, right? So implementing new specifications in a division, right? So I've always had teams that I could kind of utilize. And so while not formal and while not prescriptive for a role, I've always had that stuff. And for technical folks, that stuff comes up as well. That stuff comes up all the time.
Yeah.
Mike, even as you talk about it, I can like feel the love that you have for people.
Yeah.
And I love that you talk about we all have these skills. We've likely used them in different areas. And so really it's about how do we bring those and how do they show up for us in this work environment so that we can really see how do we put people first and how do we do some of these things.
Well, Jill, let me tell you, they have to, right? If you have a role and you have people that you now have to manage, you got to manage these people, right? I mean, it's part of the job, right? So this is something that it's make or break. You either have to manage these people, or the people will manage you, and you'll manage yourself right out of the door. So for me, it was something I had to do it. I had to do it. This was where my career was taking me, and so it had to be done. And I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy it now. I enjoy it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that you mentioned when you talk about your leadership skills and where some of it came from, you talked about, you know, being a dad and playing sports. And one thing that Jill brought up is that our leadership development is coaching based. And one great thing about how we coach and how we build coaching into our program is that we really do look at the whole person. And so when you talk about your life even outside of work, and I love it that you started with that, because that feeds into who you are, right? Some people are like, you know, what's work is at work, life is life, you know, and I try to keep it separate. But you made a really good point on that. It really is connected, and it's connected to who you are, and it really is internal to you, and you use that to help you be a strong leader.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. You try to separate work from home, and that's what that's the book. Hey, separate work from home. But I mean, it's very difficult to. And one thing, Tia, and I think when you guys talk about food safety culture, is being your authentic self, right? So if you have a really good culture, you can tend to be your authentic self. So it's a smooth transition when you go from work to home or from home to work. I mean, it's just a smooth transition because you never have to, and we've talked about, how we've had to, kind of code switch and do some certain things when we go into the facilities or into our workplaces. Not necessarily when you have a really good food safety culture, or not even a food safety culture, but a really good people culture.
Right.
There is no need for you to make that turn that light switch on and off when you go from home to work. You can just slide right in and be, hey, this is who I am. Let's get it. We have a job to do. Let's get this job done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think the difference is because, like Tia said, you led with that. You led with the humanness that you have and the humanity that then opens the door for others. And I think that's a really unique. I shouldn't say unique, but I think that's the needed approach. And it is different because I think there's always that story about what business looks like and leadership versus like, let's be human together.
Yeah. And it's a soft skill. And I think it's something that needs to be developed. A lot of technical folks, we don't have those soft skills because we can be so perfect at one thing, right? I'm so good at environmental monitoring. I don't need anybody else. I just need my measles chart, and I need my floor, and I need my organisms, and I need all of that stuff. So I really haven't had the need for anybody else. So you've been focused on that one technical piece of microbiology and environmental monitoring. But then when you have to open up, and now you have to have people skills, you have to have soft skills, you have to be able to talk to people, you have to be able to talk up, you have to be able to talk down, you have to be able to talk on a level playing field, you have to be able to talk to younger folks, older folks, men, women. You need those people skills, those soft skills, and it can be it's something that can be developed. I just think about I think about some of my colleagues and how they have it can be developed, right? Because I've seen it. Let me just say that I've seen it. I've seen those people skills become developed, and it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, we agree. We see it too. And I think a piece of that, you touched on it, where creating the safe space and being able to show up as yourself. I'm curious, when you think about times that you could not show up fully as yourself versus now it seems like you can walk in and show up as yourself. How has that impacted the way you lead?
It's huge. It is huge because it's just big. So for me now it is there's really not a lot of heavy lifting in terms of being able to, okay, so this is who I need to be at work, and then this is how I need to lead. I have to make sure that if I'm this way, I have to lead this way. There's really not a lot of restrictions, right? So it's kind of like free flowing of ideas, right? It's like I can just be me, and I can lead the way that I feel that this team needs to be led, and then that's it. In other situations, there had to be certain parameters around how to lead, right? And we go back to I never had prescripted teams. I was, I would always have a project team for about a week, and I'll have to lead that team in a certain way, not really the way that I may not have wanted to lead it, but as long as we got the job done, and that was fine. But now it's just, the culture is totally different, and it's, it's just, I'm just freer, free to do my thing. Yeah.
It's like an easy flow when you can be yourself and you don't have to think about, oh, I got to show up this way, right? Or I have to say these things. Otherwise, people might get distracted by my words or whatever it happens to be. Then that's what you're thinking about versus just being yourself and really focusing on your team.
Yeah. And there's a relationship that's been built with, and not just my, the team that I lead, but my teammates horizontally, right? The teammates that I work with. So the relationship has been built over. I've been here. I've been at Kroger for 2.5 years. So it's a two-year building of a relationship with my teammates, as well as my leadership, to understand this is who I am. This is who you hired. And this is what I bring to the table. If I bring something different than that, then I've kind of fudged my resume. I've kind of fudged the interview, because that's not who you interview. So this is who I am. This is who I was when you interviewed me. This is who I am now as I lead this team. This is who I am now as I'm a teammate. This is who I am now as a subordinate, as a direct report. So for me, it's and Tia and Jill. So I met Tia. When was it? 4 years ago? Louisville. 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
I met Tia 4 or 5 years ago in Louisville, and I want to say that this is the same me that you met 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then I met Jill. Jill, I met you last year in Pittsburgh, and so same me you met in Pittsburgh. This is the same me. So I try to be as I just try to be me. And I just, if you like it, you love it. If you don't, hey, we're good.
We're good. I love that.
I do. And I think even what you're describing, it reminds me of like when you talk about a little bit more about like the project team, and I'm not sure if this is the right narrative, but often we hear these things about teams where team can be like just people who show up together, right? Mm-hmm. They come up, they do some work together, but they don't have that magic that makes them a team, the trust, the safety.
Yeah.
And what you've described kind of reminds me of those two things. Like there's the team. Yeah, we're a team. But then there's like team.
Yeah.
We've got each other's back. We actually care about each other and our success, not just here, but even in life.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's the Mike that shows up. And that's the leader that you bring every day.
I literally had the conversation maybe an hour and a half ago that the team, there's some while we work together at work, when we genuinely care about each other. We ask about each other's kids. We ask about the vacation that you went on, the PTO. That is the magical team that you're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
I've definitely been on teams where hey, we just work together. That's my coworker. Yeah, we work together. I hear you. And for me, it reminds me of my high school basketball team, right? We talk to this day, right? And we talk about things that we did back in the as my kids would say, back in the 1900s. We talk about those things, and we still remember that stuff because that was a magical team, right? We genuinely cared about each other. But yet, Jill, I feel you. That's having a magical team. I mean, it's magical because the amount of things that you can get done, you can get the work done, and that's the easy part. But once you start to go above and beyond what is being asked of you, right? Because you have a magical team, and we want to do things for each other, that work can be excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, data shows that you get more productivity, you get more profit if your team is highly functioning.
Yep.
Yeah.
21% more profit for high performing teams
There you go.
that have high trust.
I'm going to use that number when it comes to review time. I'm going to use that number.
But
Yeah.
that's the importance of building culture and safe spaces and allowing people to show up as their best self every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Totally
I love
agree.
Chanel too put in the chat around someone told her not to worry about being at the head of the table, just worry about being authentically you and watch how the table shift towards you.
True.
I think people shift to people who are real, right? Like people shift to someone that, and I think it's all about building that trust and safe space. People know who you're going to be every time you show up.
Mhm.
Every time you show up, they know how you're going to respond. If you're a person that is super passionate, they know
Yeah.
they're going to get that passion. No matter what, you're going to get that passion, right?
Yeah.
If you're a person, whatever it happens to be, right? They know who you are, and people respond to people who they respond to situations really where they can wrap their mind around, okay, this is the situation I'm going to be in, and this is what I can expect from it.
Yeah. And I make for me, I'm a huge sports guy, so I make the sports correlation all the time. If you look at LeBron, right? Look at LeBron. Look what he did. I don't know if you guys are following the playoffs, but look what he did on an elimination night, right? LeBron gave you 22 points, 25 rebounds, 8 assists. He did what you expected him to do. And so he is an awesome teammate because every time he goes out on the floor, he does what you expect him to do. He's going to give you points, rebounds, assists, whatever. He's going to help you win. Michael Jordan was the same way. Kobe Bryant the same way. Isaiah Thomas the same way. A lot of those guys, Barry Sanders the same way. A lot of those guys give you exactly what you need, and their teammates can rely on them, and they will go to battle, right? We'll go to battle with you because I know what he's going to do.
Right.
If he does that, I may be letting him down by me not giving you all of me.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to come with it as well. So there's a bit of I don't know what just expectations when you have really good teammates, because I mean there's an emotional piece where I don't want to let this guy down, or I don't want to let Jill down. I don't want to let Tia down. So hey, let me come with everything today, so I don't let them down because I genuinely care about them.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because I completely agree with when you're authentic, people will see that. But I also see Larry's comment about it depends on who's at the table. And that's really fascinating because does everybody have the awareness?
Yeah.
Where does that play in? Does everybody have the awareness to be like, this person over here is being authentic, I'm going with them?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I think it's a learned it's a learned skill, right? By being so for me, growing up in Detroit, demographics are one way. Going to University of Florida, demographics are totally different, right? So I've been exposed to so many different things, and I've encountered so many different people that I think I have a good I can judge character a bit, but it's a skill that's learned. You have to be able to point out who's for you and who's against you. You have to be able to point that out.
Yeah, I think it's around too. It's around that leader, right? That leader that's stepping up, and whether or not they've created that safe space, whether or not they value their teammates. And I think it goes even towards the question that Larry had asked, like, what's the downside of promoting the most talented from the bench to positions in leadership? I know I have an opinion. I'm curious, Mike, you start first.
It can be detrimental. It could be definitely detrimental. I mean, if you take that super technical expert who does not have people skills, you may be in for it, right? Because as a leader, it's not just technical. It's not just work stuff. I mean, there's life stuff that comes into it, right? There's so many other things. If you have a guy or a leader who may not have experienced things in life, right? Say you got a young single guy or a young single lady who's leading a team of 35, 40 somethings with kids, with car seats in the back, who have baseball practices, who, drive SUVs. they will not understand the fact that I need to be out of here at 3:15 so that I can get over to the daycare at 3:30 so that I don't get charged an extra $50 for picking up little Junior late.
Right.
So there's no, they may not have an understanding of what real life is. So you can definitely pick wrong in terms of a leader, because that leader is not, he or she does not have that those life skills and those skills that are needed to lead a diverse team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important that before you promote someone in leadership, you should be thinking about how are you equipping them with those leadership skills so that they can relate, so that they can see authenticity, right? So that they can create safe spaces. Because if not, then you're absolutely right, Mike. I'm curious, Jill, on your perspective too on it.
Well, you know where I fall on that.
I do.
I think that's something that we've seen, right? Because all of our training has been like that. The other day, somebody explained it and they said, it's like when you have a plumber, like you want them to know exactly what needs to be done. But it doesn't mean you should take the best plumber and have them now just be the leader and like hand out, jobs that need to be done. Like they can do more. They're more skilled than that. And if they do want to do that, it requires a different skill set, right? It might be some scheduling and communication and all these other things. So it doesn't mean that they don't have parts of those, but recognizing that what we bring they're different skill sets.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean mutually exclusive, but it means how do we blend so Mike, I'm curious, because a lot of times, we talk about the doers and leaders.
Yeah. Yes.
And sometimes when people move into manager roles or leadership roles, it's hard for them to let go of the doing to be leading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're shaking your head. Can you tell us more about like what you've seen or how do we move?
That's me. Perfect example. I got big into environmental monitoring, right? When I was with Nestle, we had a team and we would go do an assessment at a site. I was always the environmental monitoring guy, right? So I picked that was my skill. I loved it. Listeria, salmonella, whatever, measles chart, whatever. I got it, right? So as I transitioned into my leadership stage, right, we do some of the same stuff. So I naturally gravitated towards taking the environmental monitoring piece, right? But I have a person who does that now. I don't need to, it's not my role to do that anymore. This is that person's role, and that person does not have the environmental monitoring knowledge and expertise and years that I have. So if I'm doing this instead of that person's not learning anything, right? That person will always have to rely on me to do environmental monitoring. So first assessment that we did, that was me, and I had to think about it. This is not going to be good for that person because that person is not going to learn. So for technical folks, especially for things that we really understand and we have niches in, we have to learn how to pull back. We have to learn how to pull back. We have to learn how to delegate. We have to learn how to care about that other person's development. And that's what it was for me. I cared about that person's development, right? And I wanted to see that person do something totally different. And that person needed that environmental monitoring skill. We're going to pick on environmental monitoring. That person had to have that skill developed so that if that person wanted this role, then that person can say, oh yeah, environmental monitoring, I do that all the time, right? Yeah. So for me, I had to step back and take a look at what that person needed. So yes, I mean, difficult, super difficult when it is something that you are an expert in and you do it well and you really enjoy it. Yeah. That's difficult. Very difficult.
I think too, like you have to care about that person's development, but you also have to care about your own development. You already have development in environmental monitoring. You've gotten that. That's check, right?
Yep.
Now you need experience leading others. Now you need experience leading through others. Now you need experience being more strategic. And so if you're spending all your time doing what you've already mastered, doing the things you've already done, then you're not growing even yourself.
Right. Totally agree, Tia. Totally agree.
And the other part, Mike, that strikes me about this is you had the awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think how powerful it is that you have that. But, if you don't have that awareness to step back and go, I need to create space here because, right? Like I need this person to develop and I need to learn how to do that. How do people then figure it out? How have you seen it? If they don't have the awareness, what happens that then they go, oh, I need to do this different?
Well, yeah, something may jump up and bite them. It may be, you always want that positive reinforcement. It may be a negative reinforcement that jumps up and bites you and says, "Hey, it should have been done this way." So they may get it. They may get the lesson, but they may get the lesson negatively, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, unless you've got, maybe mentors or other leaders that are looking at you and really care about, your growth, it may happen and it'll happen organically, but it may be something negative that happens to that person. I think that person will definitely get it, but it may not be what they want to get it.
Yeah, it's almost like, man, why didn't someone tell me before? Right? Like, why didn't someone give me the skills and the tools before? Why didn't someone just say, hey, what happens if you just take a step back? Or to say, oh, why are you the person that's doing it and not so? Right? And just think about it. Like, why are you doing it and not this person?
Yeah.
I don't think we're all blessed with leadership that takes genuine, care about how we're being developed. I don't think everybody is not as lucky as other folks. And I'm going to give a shout out now to my leadership team at Kroger, Howard and Tamika and Catherine, awesome leaders, and they've helped me to take a look at some of the things that I'm doing, because I don't have formal leadership training, right? Zero. I don't think I've taken I don't know if I've had any formal. Like I said, it's all come from the basketball court. It's all come from changing diapers. Is coming from Jill. Like I said, car seats in the back. But I've had leaders now, and I've had leaders in the past who have we've had conversations. We've had to have conversations in order for me to be successful. Hey, Mike, you need to do this. And that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like it's really like when we start something new, we don't even know what we don't know that we don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
So how do we find people that can fill in some of these spaces to help, right? Be like, hey, here's something you may not know. And maybe you do, but if you don't, hey, here's some valuable information. So
reach out to him. Larry asked, we were talking a little bit about this, but what was the biggest challenge that you faced in the transition transition from technical specialists to technical leadership?
Acquiring the knowledge, acquiring the leadership, because it's a mindset, kind of not a flip, but it's a mindset shift a little bit. Yeah, that's more of a better word. I started listening to different podcasts. I was huge on the basketball and the football podcasts all day long, but now I listen to I've read some different things. 5 a.m. Club, right? So I wake up every day 5 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym, and kind of plan my day out. There's a lot. The book by Carla Harrison, I can't remember the name of the book. Somebody put it in the chat. I forget the name of the book. But there's a lot of the Introverted Leader, the First Time Manager. There's a lot of books that I read in order to get me prepared for this. So that's probably the knowledge gap or the knowledge transfer has been the biggest issue in terms of, and it's not even an issue, but the biggest challenge for me in terms of transitioning from technical to leader.
Yeah. I'm curious how much of an impact do you think it would have made if your organization invested in leadership development before you became a leader?
So we about to name names. Is that?
You know,
I'm just putting you on the spot, but okay.
No.
names. It's just more around like, if you had
Value. Yeah.
if you had, I mean, because if
Is it worth investing? How about that?
All day.
Yeah.
All day. It is. Let me answer the first question. So I came into Kroger in a leadership role, right? I never was a technical person with Kroger. I was technical everywhere else but Kroger. Kroger, I came into a leadership role. It may not have been developed everywhere else because I was on the technical path, right? I was. This is who you are, right? This is what you do, and that technical path was there at every other place that I where I was.
Yeah.
It wasn't my path back then, but now it is. But Jill, to answer your question, I think everybody needs that because it makes you multifaceted. I'm gonna go into sports again. Magic Johnson, 6'9" point guard. Magic can do anything. LeBron can do everything. He can dribble. He can pass. He can shoot. He's multifaceted, so he's always on the floor, right? If you're a multifaceted technical person, I'm technical, plus I've got leadership skills, plus I've got my soft skills, plus I know a little bit about business. I know a little bit about supply chain. I know a little bit about this, so you can put me anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that cross-functional training is essential. I think it makes your employees better. It just makes them better. Just makes them better.
Yeah. And it's what you talk about. Oh, this person is on a technical path and maybe that person wants to be and they expect to be there, to the end of their career. Maybe the organization put them there. That is not unique to one organization. I've seen that through my career. We see it with our clients' organizations where technical people were almost put into a box. And we're like, you go and you be the best EMP person that exists. And you go and you do and you love it. And then they're like, oh, well, because you're so great, to Larry's point, because you're so great, we're going to now promote you. And then you get there and you're like, oh, so I'm not gonna do EMP anymore. I'm not gonna and then you're trying to figure out things where like, man, I should have paid attention a little bit more. I should have done this a little bit. I should have maybe taken a course. I maybe should have asked for it. But the thing of it is that the organization has kind of put you on a path. And now either they switch you because they need you, or maybe you found a role that you want to be in, or maybe you switch companies. It could be any of the above. And now it's like, oh man, I didn't have these things because I was just kind of following a path. So the things that we talk about with organizations is that your technical experts need leadership. It doesn't matter if they're on the quote unquote technical path, because you hire everyone to be a leader in your organization, whether or not they're manager of people or not. And you're missing out on that 21% profitability. You're missing out on those strong teams because you've kind of put your people in a box and say, only do this. When really you want them to do that and lead the organization. That's not
T, let me say that there's some responsibility on us as well, right?
Oh, absolutely.
As the employee to not be and hopefully something like this, a show like this will help folks know, hey, you need some different skills. You need different skill sets other than microbiology, right? You need it, right? In order for you to be the best person that you can be, you need other skills, right? You have to be able to do other things. You may get to a ceiling, and I can't promote you anymore because this is all that you do. But if you have some other skill sets, now you can you're more promotable. You can go to different heights and different levels. But we have to take some of that responsibility as employees or as people to have to better ourselves, right? You don't want to stay stagnant. I mean, your grandmother always told you gotta be better. You have to do different things. You can't just be stuck in one box. But we need to take some responsibility as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, we talk a lot about the ownership because often the words that we hear associated with food safety are things like, oh, people are feeling burnt out, they're feeling powerless, they're feeling like they're not able to drive the change they want to see. And really all of those kind of start with looking in. Like, what am I doing here and how am I contributing to this situation? And what can I do different? But that's a really hard question to ask. That's not always the first thing that people recommend. It's like, well, they did this or they did that, or they're keeping me here, whatever, right? There's lots of things. And I'm not discrediting those things, but there's also things that we can do. And so I love that part about we still need to own that. And sometimes we always say it starts up here, right? Sometimes it starts right up there in our head about how we're creating the story, what narrative we keep talking about, and what we're willing to do.
Yeah, that mindset shift, right?
Right. Yeah. But when does it happen though? I mean, there has to be some kind of stimulus that makes you say, "Hey, I need to change. I need to change how I'm thinking."
Yeah,
there has to be something. That makes you do that.
In life, for whatever reason, as humans, it's usually not the carrot, it's the stick that seems to drive that change. I don't know why. It's like nobody wants to take the vitamins, but we're willing to take the pill to make it better.
Right.
Even when it comes to some of, like you said, this, how we evolve or how we grow, sometimes there's a trigger or I shouldn't say trigger, a situation, something that creates this, we need to move past it. So
yeah. And I think if we can make it, like, I'm just thinking about like the impact that we can make if we can just have like people start early thinking about these things and incorporating this into the way that they do work and how they grow. Like, I mean, I even think back to to the beginning of my career, and I had such a great experience, but I was really lucky to have a leader that delegated things to me, that put me in different situations that allowed me to learn about maintenance and engineering and operate. And like, but if I realized that once I moved on to another organization that, man, I was not controlling that at all. You know, if it had been me, I would have I don't know what type of experience I would have had, because I didn't even, like Jill said, I didn't know what I didn't know, right? Like, I didn't know that I should be in charge of my career, that I should think about and talk with people about like, what type of experience do I need? And what, if I want to be a leader, what does that look like? If I want to be a technical person, what does that look like? And really explore these different paths. I didn't know to do that. So like, if someone's listening and you are early career, or maybe not even early career, you're just trying to figure out the next step, right?
Yeah.
Like, take it into your own hands, right? Ask those questions, connect with people, connect with any one of us, right? Or anyone that's on Real Talk, connect with us and ask questions and learn, because, if you leave it up to someone else, you're going to end up in a position that is not really you.
Yeah. Whew. All right. We've got some good questions. Well, we've got good questions. They're all good questions coming through on the chat. So let's see. One from Juanelo. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly, but you ask, from your technical background, what skills do you always use as a leader?
Jesus.
It's a good question.
It is.
Yeah.
This isn't Stump Mike, but
no, I would just say knowledge of a topic. Because if you let's take environmental monitoring. I've got a person who has to do an environmental monitoring assessment at a facility. That person comes back and gives me the environmental monitoring assessment, and I look at it and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm an environmental monitoring expert. Take it back and do it again. So I mean, the topical knowledge And that's just, I don't know, that's an easy one. I just take that off the top of my head. If you give me some time, I can think about some other stuff too.
Yeah.
Well, it even sounds like, as you tell that example, that it's like the curiosity. Like as a technical person, you're curious about what's going on, like in environmental monitoring. But even as a leader, what you described there was like seeing something and then still being curious about it, but
Right.
asking the bigger question to have somebody else to help guide them on what to do next.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's also important that, you know, your technical background and the skills that you're learning on critical thinking and reasoning and, you know, process control and all of those things, like that's the foundation for you to step into leadership, to step into a technical leader role, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have those things as a foundation in order to be a solid leader, because you lean on those reasonings. And it might even be that you're a leader in, you know, you were in ice cream and now you're a leader in fresh fruit, right? Like, but the technical knowledge behind it, the process control, like that kind of stuff,
Yep.
you continue to use to strengthen your team, to make sure that they're working on things that's stretching them to make the right decision, right? Those things still show up in your leadership role. So if you don't have that technical background, right, like you need to continue to develop that.
Yeah.
And then that leadership, those soft skills, those human skills, you know, that's what's continuing to grow, right? To grow you.
Yes.
Yeah. I love Wendy's comment, relationship capital. Yeah. So we always talk about like, there's a bank, right? You build relationships, because there's going to be times we're going to have to draw on those. And people are going to draw on our relationship bank too. And that's why it's so important to network and connect and make the effort.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Jonello, thank you. That was a great question.
Yes. All right. Larry's got a question too. Larry has, so technical specialists often have a difficult time when transitioning to technical business leader. For example, becoming a fiduciary. How did you make the adjustment to become a technical business leader?
I don't know if I'm all the way there, but it is taking a step back and having an understanding of that part of the business. Understanding, you know, it's the whole concept behind industrial microbiologist or laboratory microbiologist, right? Laboratory microbiologist, hey, I'm super conservative because I can be. Industrial microbiologist, the objective is to get the boxes out of the door, right? So I may not have to be as conservative as I need to be. So I have to have a knowledge of the other aspects of the business. I have to have knowledge of sourcing. I have to have knowledge of the manufacturing side. I have to have knowledge of really every other aspect of the business. I have to have that knowledge. And it's just, for me, it was just a matter of reading, number one, or talking to folks in those roles. And let me talk to my sourcing guy, have a one-on-one with my sourcing guy for 30 minutes to see where he is, to kind of, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Tell me what you're thinking. What's your objective? What are you working on this year? What are you trying to do? It's that whole relationship. I forgot what Wendy called it. Relationship bank, relationship
capital.
You gotta have relationship capital with everyone that you work with, right?
Yes.
With everybody in your business, so you have an understanding of the entire, because you don't work in a solo or a silo. You don't work in a silo, so you have to be able to have that relationship capital, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing. Understanding what the other functions of the business do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it that you brought up too on asking the other person, like, what are their priorities? What do they care about, right? Because we're all trying to get to a common goal, right? We all want to sell cases. We all want to make product, right, that's safe and of high quality so that the business can get paid and we can get paid, right? Like everyone has that goal ultimately. But we all coming at it from a different direction. And so when we think about building relationships, and we talk about it in our boot camp module around building relationships, is understanding that person, who they are as a person, but then also digging into, like, what do they care about professionally? And what do they care about when it comes to their priorities? And how does that then fit into what you're doing? Right. And then then you start to get this full picture of, oh, this is how this is relating. Or even if they don't understand how it relates, that's your opportunity to say, oh, that relates to this priority because XYZ.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally agree. Totally
No.
agree.
I love that. I think I wish I had known this earlier in my career, but someone had given advice, or I think I had figured out as well collectively, like, how do you help solve their biggest problem?
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you can't still work on yours, but so often, because especially with food safety, things are so tied together that when we can actually even be a business partner to say, well, what is your biggest priority right now? Let's talk about how we fit in there and how I can help you while you're helping me. And collectively, we're moving forward. And I think I missed that early in my career. I'd be like, nope, this is what we have to get done. And I need you to do this, this, and this. And of course, people are like, no, thank you. But they didn't always say it that nicely. So how do you change the approach and have some new perspectives to be more collaborative? So I love that you talk about, building these relationships and finding those things out, because I think that can be a real game changer when we're in technical roles, especially moving into leadership roles to guide the business.
Yeah. I love that, Jill, when you talk about, like, what is the biggest problem that I can help you solve?
Yeah.
When I was putting together a strategy that, we have our top program, this is the one thing I want to get done. This is the top two things I want to get done. I have room for one more or two more, right? Asking that question and then putting it on your strategy, like, that's big, right? And it's developing things like trust, and it's building your relationship. And, we talk a lot about different influencing styles, that how you can really get someone on being your champion, right? If they also know that you are a champion for them. Yeah. I love that, Jill.
Well, and I love that Larry added to this in about enabling growth, because we talk about that a lot with especially our small business owners. Food safety enables growth and business. But we have to start approaching it that way versus thinking it's just another cost, and that it's, just a cost. It's a money goal. So.
Yeah, I love it too, Larry, that you added your thoughts, because as soon as you asked the question, I'm like, you should be answering that question.
Like, I know Larry has an answer to that one.
Right. You are right. You are right. Food safety enables growth. Food quality enables growth. What we do every day enables the growth of organizations. And if organizations are not taking advantage of that, like, we've already talked about the stats, right? That's what they're losing. That's what they're, I mean, it's just wasted talent. It's wasted talent if you're not actually using your food safety teams, your food safety and quality teams to actually enable growth for your organization. Yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Hey, Tia, is that Larry Keener?
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, let me give a shout to Mr. Keener. Awesome. The godfather of food microbiology. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. Thank you so much.
Yes. We love Larry on Real Talk. Thank you for being here in the audience, because, like, that experience, right? Like, the experience and the willingness to share. And, it's one of the things that I love about you, Mike. It's like the willingness to share with others on Real Talk, which we love, but also every day, right? Like, being able to reach out to you. And I know people reach out to you, people reach out to Larry all the time, and it's random, right? And I hear the stories of like, Mike helped me do this, Larry helped me do this, Lisa helped me do this, like, people that I know that are connected. And, I know that takes time out of each of your busy days. And, I appreciate that. And I know other people appreciate that. So when I talk about the many reasons why, I love Mike, that's a piece of it, is that you're willing to give your time and your skills and your knowledge to people. And I mean, that's just so valuable. And we don't know what we don't know. And if you have someone looking out for you and giving you insights and being real about it, like, you can't find that every day.
No,
I think we have to. It's I'm huge on W.E.B. Du Bois and the Talented Tenth, where he talked about how we have to give back to our community And when I say our community, I'm talking about, for me, Black folks, and then especially in the food safety community, not just one demographic, but the entire food safety community. We have to give that knowledge back so that it's easier for them to, to succeed and to, not go through the pitfalls that we had to go through. So we have to give back. We have to.
Well, we appreciate it
so much. And I think that's a wonderful place for us to, we only have like a minute left, but I think that is such a great takeaway about how we're all in here together.
Yes.
So how do we all be better together and do that sharing? So
absolutely,
Mike, it has been awesome having you on. Thank you so much for all of the sharing with our audience. And thank you to the audience for being here and being engaged and asking questions and being part of the conversation. We very much appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we will be back next week. We are on Real Talk Food Safety every Wednesday at noon Eastern, 11 Central. And we are excited to see you all next week. If you are curious more about leadership development, we do have our boot camp opening up at the end of May 25th. So reach out to us. We have a wait list that's open right now. All you have to do is register.
Yep. Awesome.
All right. We will see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.